Hi, friends. Host Eric here. I was talking with famous people. And I'm starting this live stream because I want to talk more about the ways in which misinformation and lies obscure the truth. Now, I want to say right out the bat that I believe it to be the case that C.S. Joseph is lying. That, in fact, he does not believe himself to be an ESP. That at this point, he knows he's not. But he's married to the position. So he's persisting in it despite the fact that he knows he's not an EHP. I can understand how, in general, somebody might be compelled to stick with a given position that they no longer believe in if they got a lot of stuff attached to it. I can understand that in general. It's not something good, but it's human. The thing is, when you're in a position where you're positioning yourself as an expert and you're trying to tell other people this is how a given system works and how typology works and such, then you're going to produce a raft of people who simply get everything wrong. And all those people have to be corrected and have things explained to them. For a lot of those people, they probably will just dismiss cognitive functions as nonsense because right out the gate, they hit stuff that doesn't make any good logical sense. It was suggested by 17X during the premiere that I just completed that C.S. Joseph is an ENTJ. And let's talk about if he were an ENTJ, and I'm not sure he is. I've typed as an ENTJ before. I'm still sort of inclined to think he is. But the reason would be the instrumentality of truth. He's constantly using truth and not caring whether it's actually true or not. So he loves to deliver singular, decisive judgments on things as though they were expert opinion, quote unquote, or as though they had been actually deliberated out, which they never have. Now, what he presents as justification for the truth of what he's saying is not implicit to the arguments themselves that he's making, but rather it's a citation. In other words, he's saying you can trust this information because I have taken it from people who are smarter than me or smarter than any of you who are the real experts, and I've just mastered all that information, and I have a mentor, and I have this book that I read, and yada yada. Hi, Octavio Silva. So the point is, if you get into the bulk of what C.S. Joseph is doing, he's saying, look, here is the truth. And people are going, how do we know that's the truth? And he goes, stop worrying about that. Like, these people say it is, that's good enough. Here is the truth. No, you guys are missing the point. Focus on the fact that this is the truth, the singular way I'm teaching you. So that seems very NI tool to me. And definitely seems like a TE user. He tends to frame all of his stuff, or used to anyway, in terms of some sort of usefulness, right? Like, what does he call it? Ego hacking people or something? In that regard, he's trying to render the information useful for people, giving it a frame of utility, and he used to do that a lot, which is consistent with NI tool, TE DOM. The thing is, his TI is so weak, or at least it's not exactly weak. He's ignoring it. He's choosing to just not care whether his stuff is logically consistent or not. He assumes that the people he got the information from were good, but it's not, This is always the same argument that TI users make against TE users. Okay, well, in this instance, I'm not making an argument that, I guess I'm making a lot of different arguments there. I'm making two main arguments. One, that he's not an ENTP, and two, that he's more likely to be ENTJ than, say, well, I mean, I don't know. He could be ESTJ, because I don't really hear a lot of SI from him. I haven't really listened to the guy a whole hell of a lot, to be honest. you know, I find him kind of insufferable. So the thing is, though, what I have encountered are a lot of people who have been confused by him, who TI users tend to dismiss him fairly quickly as not really saying anything that's argumentationally defensible. TE users like who like him will always say he's helped a lot of people. The thing is, if look, anybody's attention on you has the potential to help you. So, and also your conception going in of the person who's attending to you and their significance, their wisdom, their value, whatever, those things are going to play a lot of a role into whether or not somebody's helped. So, for example, if somebody pays me to life coach them for an hour and they have the experience, they go into it and they enjoy the experience and they feel like they've gotten my full attention and that I've really thought about it and given my attention, directed my attention at their issues and towards them, chances are they're going to feel like it did some good. Just the it's an observation thing. There's a power in the universe that's not really accounted for ever in any of the sciences or anything, and it's power of observation. I mean, it's accounted for in quantum physics in the sense that it takes that into account in its mechanics. But it's not ever understood that observation is a force such as, wind is a force or gravity is a force. So Timothy says CSJ doesn't seem to post much anymore, and when he does, it's just typing famous people. He wants people to pay for content. It's interesting because the truth is, I should probably do that. I should probably go around and type famous people. Like watch videos of famous people being interviewed and type them. Because after all, my channel is called Talking with Famous People. And in fact, that's how probably a lot of people find me is INFJ famous people they type in, or Enneagram 7 famous people, something like that. Hi, someone random. So the point I'm trying to make is misinformation is bad and dangerous and to be at least finger wagged. For example, Trump uses a lot of misinformation successfully. He gets everybody echoing these misinformation things that aren't designed to last very long. Right. CSJ is always referencing mentors and seems to care a lot about credentials, which is very TE to me. It's extremely TE. It's the workaround for thinking yourself. Being peace think everything out themselves. C.S. Joseph definitely does not think things out themselves. When asked to justify something, he references the citation. He doesn't actually make any arguments. What's the best movie I've ever seen? My favorite movie answer is usually one of a couple of different possible movies. I'll usually answer that question with The Princess Bride or Nightmare Before Christmas. Nothing else jumps to mind at the moment, but I really like The Princess Bride. Great movie. It's got good SI links for me, and it's got it's just a great movie. I rewatched it with Rachel not that long ago. What's your ENTP view on prediction? I mean, it's a broad question. More like you're unable to make the connection and consistency. I don't understand what you're saying, 17X. I saw you holding ESTJ and ENFJ for CS Joseph last time I checked. Isn't that pretty contradictory? Did I get this wrong? I don't know what type he is for sure. I've typed him as a variety of different things that I think he might be. I've never, what I've always said and been consistent on, if I don't actually have a conversation with somebody, I cannot type them. I can get guesses at it, but I can't settle on the type if unless I talk to a person. One of my favorite songs. Well, you know what's a great song that I really enjoy is Maxine by Donald Fagen. That's my current favorite song that I'm listening to. I'll put a link to it. It's not it. I'll put a link to it. I really love this song. It's by Donald Fagen. If you don't know who Donald Fagen is, he's the main guy in Steely Dan. But so this song makes me think of makes me think of Rachel. This album, The Night Fly by Donald Fagen, is an incredible album. It's one of the greatest albums of all time. I've been listening to it again and again. It's an album that my dad had in the car when I was a kid, and it was one of the few albums that I thought, this is good. I really like this. I felt it, you know? Like I wanted him to put that one on. The thing is, if you're somebody who's got good taste in music, then it might take you a second to understand that this is really good, because it's got a kind of dorky, jazzy, goofy quality to it. The whole album does. That it just makes you think it's like too smooth jazzy or something, but it's not. You just got to listen to it more, and you realize it's just incredible what's going on in that album. It's unbelievably good. It's a sleeper genius of an album that like very few people really know about, and it's unbelievably good. That's one album that's one of my favorite albums of all time. Another album that's one of my favorite albums of all time is Blue by Joni Mitchell. But I do want to get back to the topic of misinformation and C.S. Joseph. So, what does one do in general? What does one do when one faces a persistent fount of misinformation that is muddying the waters of the topic so much that almost any reasonable person coming in will say, it's not fit to swim in these waters. This is obviously a bunch of nonsense. And that for people who don't do that when they come in, they're going to be very confused about what is correct about cognitive functions. Well, Cloud, I don't agree that he's an FE dumb. It's not impossible what you're saying, but the values are too TE, I think. Yeah, it's too much TE valuing and too little FE valuing. The thing is, I'm not exactly sure what type he is, but what I am sure is that we have to figure out, I have to figure out, or there's got to be some way to utilize this misinformation to clarify the water. So, how could I do that? I could, and probably should, make a series of videos responding to specific things that he says one at a time. Oh, that's a shit ton of them. First of all, he gets good views. So when I make videos about why he's wrong, those videos get a lot of views. And I'm not typically motivated by that because I'm not operating a TE frame. But perhaps I ought to be operating more in a TE frame. It might be good for me to use a little bit more expert thinking in my decision making. A little more goal orientation and a little more outcome orientation wouldn't kill me. So, he has too many interests. I usually characterize as SI to be SI polar for me. Like all the anime and Harry Potter references and shit. Okay, Ron Solo, then that's fairly convincing, actually. Now that you mention it, he has a lot of pop culture references like that. Why would I do this? His followers want to believe he is the ENTP and you are not. I have to say I like your videos. Okay, well, I mean, they probably do want to believe he is the ENTP and I am not. But that is why I need to make this video. Because, look, a real ENTP validates the external world and themselves against the absolute value of truth, namely NI in the fifth slot. He offends my absolute value of truth because he is, as I've said, muddying the waters dramatically. He's dumping buckets of mud into the water. That's all he's doing. That's all his content does, is dump buckets of mud into the water. The thing is, I want to take a stand against that and say, look, myth about cognitive functions, play a clip of C.S. Joseph. Fact about cognitive functions, explain why he's wrong. It's like, that's what I should be doing. And this video right here is helping me to come to terms with that reality. Somebody has to make the truth win because the truth has a natural advantage. And when one defeats falsehood, one does God's work, so to speak. Cloud, you say a lot of random things. Like, I never saw him use FI. He is not that TE, actually. Well, what do you think he is, Cloud? But he's so invested in making other people better. Oh, he's not actually invested in making other people better. He's invested in manipulating other people to use them as cogs in his system. That's why he has this ego hack notion. That's a very TE frame of utility. FE frames of utility would be more self-aware regarding the way that plays, you know? Yeah, he's invested in making money. He's making good money off that thing. Transactional salesman style, right? Can a person's intelligence be determined by their proficiency in their dominant function? I mean, I really don't like the word intelligence in general because it implies a single vector of smartness that can be determined and measured and is an attribute. Intelligence is ultimately a behavior, like everything else, pretty much. people do have some attributes, but they're physical attributes. The problem with psychology is it tries to render the metaphysical processes into something equivalent to attributes. It makes them statuses where they oughtn't to be made into statuses, and it decontextualizes them when decontextualizing them makes them meaningless. So, it's important to remember that we're talking about processes fundamentally. We're talking about people, and we're not talking about attributes. You think, okay, so this is an interesting question. Dark Phoenix says, Eileen thinks that he believes he's the ENTP. How many people think he believes he's the ENTP, and how many people think he's lying? Because at this point, I find it hard to believe that he believes he's the ENTP. He's got, he's running too fast and too far from dealing with anybody who challenges him on that point. If he really believed he was the ENTP, he'd want to stand there and fight it a bit. He knows he's going to lose that argument. And you would think that would indicate to him that he knows he's not really an ENTP. I don't think he's an INTJ. He's too extroverted. He's got to be an extroverted something. If he does share a lot of stories from his past, ESTJ makes the most sense. It's conceivable you could go maybe ESFP, but it doesn't really seem like an ESFP. All right, Chris D says that she doesn't think he's thinking. You don't think he's thinking about it at all? No, I mean, he likely knows. There's no way he could admit it at this point after directly mocking Eric and stuff. So the question becomes, what motivates his need to identify as an ENTP? Perhaps an intuitive audience, and it is his niche market? I mean, which kind of intuitives are enamored of him? INFPs? INFPs would make sense. Why can't he be antipolar, Cloud? He's not saying anything true. I would say he does seem to be using singularities in meowing shit down, but that could be just, a TE rendering of ideas. Dave's superpowers gives good clear-cut information. That's also wrong, though. The OP framework doesn't work for a lot of reasons. It's deeply flawed. If you have that many subtypes, you're all screwed up. There's a mechanics to the thing for a reason. Certain things are naturally, definitionally, inherently exclusive of one another. I can't both continually argue from a goal-oriented framework and argue from a consistent and argue from a non-goal-oriented framework. There's a lot of different possibilities, right? So, like, I don't have a goal-oriented framework. You can see how my channel plays out very differently from the channel of somebody who does have a goal-oriented framework. You can't be both goal-oriented and not goal-oriented much of the time concurrently. And there are a finite number of hours in the day. So that's why DSP is wrong. He's not understanding functions as being natural exclusivities of ontology, the natural exclusive channels of ontology. NI high people can get deluded. They do seek the truth. They experience reality through the frame of truth, but what they're experiencing or expressing is not necessarily true. 1, 2, 3. That's not nice. Yes, Eileen, he repeats and never explains. C.S. Joseph. That is, in fact, the problem there, right? If I actually watch him, but I'll type him. Yes, CJ. I should. You know what I should do today? I should just fucking spend the day watching C.S. Joseph videos. talking about specific things he says and explaining why it's wrong, one after another, and just hammer, hammer, hammer until finally people start to recognize, oh, this guy's crazy, crazy boring is right. Crazy wrong. So the thing is, it ought to be stated here that what I want to do is utilize C.S. Joseph's wrongness as a means of politely, respectfully explaining why a different set of ideas ought to be preferred. So I found bacon. I am worried about that. I have a warning already for that, and for bullying him or whatever. And the thing is, that warning never goes away. It's like herpes. And the new model, I'm stuck with a warning on my channel forever. So, but the thing is, this is designed to train me to do something. I can, in fact, with a certain amount of respectful candor, address the issue in a non-bullying way that is, well, I actually changed it to obscure, okay, because of this very issue. I want to make sure that I'm not accused of harassment or bullying. So instead of saying C.S. Joseph, enemy of the truth, I changed it to C.S. Joseph obscures the truth. So Christie thinks he believes it, but doesn't really give an explanation. That's how that works, that he's an EHP. He absolutely does present some interesting ideas here and there, but overall the system is pure symmetry for the sake of symmetry. He once claimed that he was typed EHP by a mentor, and he seems to be unwilling to question this. Yeah, that's TI fourth, avoiding true false. Well, that's actually a good point there, Cloud. That's a good argument. It's conceivable that you would say the TI fourth mimics an instrumental relationship with NI or something like that. Like I said, Cloud, I'm not completely dismissing your ENFJ notion. I just have not seen an ENFJ that's so ineffectively FE, I guess. Or at least he seems that way to me. I don't know. And the thing is, I actually want to use this opportunity to train myself to be nice. I don't have to be an asshole to critique something. And I don't have to be dismissive and contemptuous and disdainful. And I have a long history of being those things and of engaging in those habits. And Ron Solo, amongst other people, our conversation the other night, Ron Solo, really opened my eyes. It was like, okay, this is what I have to learn to do. It's time for me to put away my childish expressiveness and replace it with a more consistent honesty. I am growing up, little bit by little bit. This is an opportunity for me to address the C.S. Joseph issue in a way that hopefully clarifies the waters and gets people realizing that he's not worth listening to in terms of his explanations of cognitive functions, because he's wrong about it, and I don't want disinformation to win the day. So it'll also help me practice the arts I need to develop for the presidency and for the run for the presidency, which are myriad arts that need to be developed. So, the thing is, Ron Solo, what I experienced in that conversation was, I thought I was responding to you, to what you were saying. I had to talk it out myself to realize that's not what you were saying. And I'm going to try my best to not do that stuff anymore. You know? Thanks, Russell. That is not my toilet running. That is my aquarium. That's right. Here in this fish tank, I have my very own aquarium of the Pacific. Except it's freshwater. One problem is that the whole cognitive function stuff is so interesting. People tend to get attached to whoever introduces them to it. Yeah, well, the thing is, if I'm going to hold other people responsible to serve the truth, then perhaps I better do a better job of serving the truth as well. Hi, Hunter Thomas. By which I mean, I spend a lot of time screwing around on this channel, making stuff that doesn't concern itself about whether it's what the audience wants to see. That doesn't concern itself about whether it's going to be a popular video or not. That is primarily concerns itself with what Eric feels like doing. You know, it's a tricky kind of squirminess that I got in that regard. I either, I say, well, this is for my own purposes, this channel. This is my autobiography, and it's just for fun. If it's not fun, I'm not going to do it anyway. Well, but then, of course, I'm moralizing about things like information and disinformation and responsibility to advocate for the truth and such. And yet I don't seem to be holding myself accountable on any sort of positivist level towards that. I may hold myself accountable to not spread lies and misinformation, but I do not seem to hold myself particularly accountable to utilizing the medium for any particular purpose other than the pleasure. Do you think C.S. Joseph having 6 times as many subscribers as you is part of the reason why you want to debate him more than he wants to debate you? I mean, I think it's part of why he doesn't want to debate me. He doesn't see there as being any particular purpose in debating me. I don't really think I want to debate him at this point. I want to clear up the misinformation. He's not going to debate me. He doesn't want to do that, obviously. You believe C.S. Joseph fits into this ENTP mold, but he doesn't have any original ideas. So I think perhaps you're not understanding what ENTPs are actually like. And this is the point I was making in the earlier video. Since there are so many fake ENTPs, it is very easy for even a reasonable person to come around and say to a real ENTP, you're not an ENTP. I've met dozens of ENTPs, and you're not like them. If you had a big audience, wouldn't that cause more damage to him if you debated? The point is, he doesn't want to debate me because he doesn't want to debate the issue. He doesn't want to talk out or parse out or use TI to determine the issue. He wants to use TENNI to determine the issue. It's already determined. I'm not an ENTP. The thing is, I'm not worried about the numbers of subs. It doesn't matter how many subs somebody has. They could have 50 million subs. I'd still whip their ass. It doesn't matter. That's not had nothing to do with being right, I don't know what type he is. Someone random, as I've said many times, I do not have an official typing for him. I cannot type somebody officially unless I actually sit down and have a conversation with them. And that's not going to happen, so I'm not going to be able to type him. All right? I think ESTJ, ENTJ are both plausible. I think ESFP is Dark horse, plausible. He's either TI or NI polar, probably, but he could be SI polar. I don't know. The thing is, people buy subscribers, watch the comments. Do we see 25.6 thousand comments or 1,000 comments? The psychics have that many. I don't have that many comments. All he does is ask dumb clarifying questions, and it seems like he misunderstands everything he's saying on purpose so he doesn't have to admit he's wrong. How many videos did you already make where you about him and explain why you are pointing this out? Well, the point is, Eileen, that I've not CSS type me as ESTP. I've not done what I've suggested doing today, which is engage each of a series of ideas that he presents in a separate video and explain why it's wrong. If I were to make a bunch of those, as I probably could in a couple of hours, and schedule them one every other day for the next couple of weeks, that would get me a lot of views. And additionally, no, I'm not going to bother with that nonsense. I don't care that much. This is the thing. When I'm saying I ought to do this, I ought to do it because it serves the truth about cognitive functions and it serves my channel in a TE sense. That's why I ought to do it. Okay? I don't care about him. You know, it's like I care about the fact that I get comments like that that reveal to me that people are being led down some seriously wrong paths by a bunch of misinformation that I'm largely left to go unanswered. Mark? Yeah, Mark's still around. I haven't seen him in a while. I haven't talked to him in a while, but, you know. Okay, so I'm going to bring this live stream to a close. This jacket is, I don't know, it doesn't have any name on it or anything. Gap? That's a Gap? It's a Gap jacket. Brown jacket. It's got lines and squares inside of it. Okay. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.